10 Most Effective Ways to Stop Your Man from Pulling Away. It doesn't matter if you've been with him for years or just met him a couple of months ago. A woman can sense it when her man is pulling away. He may be with you physically, but his mind is somewhere else. You notice that he seems less engaged, paying less attention to you, or just vanished. You have no idea what went wrong, but do know that he is about to leave you. What do you do now? First, find out the cause. Have you said something uncomplimentary that bruises his ego? A man's ego gets hurt easily. Your unintentional words or actions could diminish who he is. A man has a massive ego, and that ego needs to be stroked by his woman. But he would not likely to clearly express this emotional need to you. He just wants you to meet this need without asking. How do you deal with your man's ego? Ego is the root of many characteristics in a man, and that often makes a woman confused in the relationship. The ego factor exists in every person, but males suffer much more from it than females. A man's ego has developed since childhood. Since he was a boy, he has always been taught to win against a girl. In a man's mind, losing to a woman is embarrassing. A man's family, friends, and society already planted this thought in his mind. When a man becomes egoistic, his state of mind can suddenly become adamant against logic. So in the heat of the moment, he may ignore the truth and the real situation, and then get stuck in a destructive pattern of behavior. Should you feed his ego? A man's ego is a strange beast to a woman. On one hand, a man is a proud creature. He needs to feel strong, independent, and respected in a relationship. But on the other hand, his ego is so fragile that they want to be treated as big babies. Dealing with your man's ego is sort of like feeding a tiger. We know if a tiger can't get decent food, it is going to waste away. However, if a tiger is fed too much, it easily becomes wild and bloodthirsty. So if you do want to maintain a good connection in a long-lasting relationship, you need to be aware that learning how to feed his ego is a compulsory course. And don't think it is difficult to provide food to his ego. A lot of seemingly common things that you can do actually help fulfill his ego. For example, you might listen to him attentively while he is speaking to you. Give him the deep impression that you admire him. Make him feel that you always put your effort into things that matter to him. And make him feel respected even though you disagree with him on certain issues. Moreover, in addition to paying attention to how to feed his ego, you should also be concerned about how to protect his ego. A woman may unintentionally bruise her man's ego. When you make your man feel like your hero, you draw out his hero instinct and activate the heroic version of him, so you get to see the best in him. On the contrary, when he feels that his ego is bruised, he may only exhibit the worst masculine trait of a man. A man's ego is just as fragile as a woman's heart. Many times a woman may bruise her man's ego without realizing it. Here are some specific suggestions. Number 1. Don't compare your man to others. The vast majority of men hate to be compared to other men by their women. When he is compared to other men who have superior talents in the presence of him, he may have crippling self-doubt, and he may experience something unpleasant that hurt his own idealized identity. Number 2. Don't insult his job. No men like to be mocked for his job, even if your man really hates his job or does not do well in his job. Probably he still feels a bit proud of the job while you are playing down it. Don't always bring up the same mistakes that your man has ever made. Number 3. Don't scold him as if he was your child, even though he indeed did something wrong. Surely it is not wrong to ask your man to make positive changes. But remember to focus on reminding him of specific things that he should improve without need to make personal remarks. When you go after his character flaws, he tends to feel that you are bruising his ego. Hence probably he will act defensively to protect his ego, and turn a deaf ear to what you are really saying. Number 4. Don't criticize your man's best friends in front of him. If possible, don't demand something that he dislikes. Don't take your man for granted when he works hard for what you want. Don't simply dismiss your man's opinion when you can't agree with him. When it comes to how to protect your man's ego, in addition to avoiding those things that may bruise your man's ego, there is a more important point that you should keep in mind. Make him feel that you admire him for the personality traits and unique talents that he has. As a result, the connection with him will suffer. For example, if one night your man ditches you to hang around with his good friends and you can't contact him during that night, you must feel resentful or angry. But when he comes back home, you should resist the urge to criticize him. Maybe you are tempted to say to him you are a jerk in the heat of the moment. If you do it that way, you actually try to get him to admit that he is a bad guy in need of reform. No doubt that is hard for him. But if you choose to express how you feel about the incident and tell him not to do so next time, he is more likely to mend his ways. In short, when your man did something bad to you, as long as you are sure that those things do not pose a danger to the relationship, you just need to focus on his actions without having to dwell on the intentions behind his actions. Whether you like it or not, you have to accept your man's ego as a component of the marital relationship. In the relationship with him, you inevitably play the role of either an ego buster or an ego booster. In particular, when he seems emotionally distant, you should make a point to deal with his ego properly. Saying the things men want to hear can work wonders for a relationship by bringing you closer to each other. By letting him know how you feel and what he means to you, he will love and cherish you even more. So what exactly are these magic words? Magic words for men. Number 5. Tell him you trust him. This is a biggie for a man. He'll feel great if he knows that you rely on and trust him, and he'll do everything in his power to make sure he doesn't let you down. This makes him feel loved and important in your eyes, which can only make things better for you too. Number 6. Tell him you have confidence in him. He needs to feel that you aren't looking to replace him if he fails at something. You hold his confidence in your hands, and you can make him feel on top of the world or down in the dumps depending on how you react to what he does. Number 7. Tell him you're proud of him. He'll take on the world for you and work his fingers to the bone to live up to your pride. A man's self-esteem is often linked to how he earns a living. Get him talking about what he's accomplished, and you can make his day. Number 8. Tell him how important he is to you. Everybody needs to feel like they have value. By making a point of telling him how much he means to you and how he makes your world a better and happier place, you can build him up. He'll want to prove you right by doing so much for you. Number 9. Tell him you want him. There is no more powerful turn-on for a man than to hear that his woman wants him. The strong attraction that is already there between you will grow to be even stronger when you let him know that you want him. Number 10. Finally, and most importantly, tell him that you love him. These are the most important words of all and can bring an even greater closeness and intimacy to your relationship. Coping with your man's ego tends to be tricky. If you want to get a comprehensive guide on how to strengthen your relationship through stroking his fragile ego, you might go to watch the free presentation by clicking the link below this video.